been retired from politics for nearly 4 years, but I decided last June I'd get back into politics because I couldn't bear what was happening in my country. And I am now leading, and in historical terms this is incredible, I am now leading Reform UK, and we are now topping every opinion poll in Britain. And we are going to win the next general election and save our country. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And what you guys have done, what CPAC, what the activists have done in helping President Trump win 85% of the counties in this great country of yours, to win the House, the Senate, the majority vote, all those things you've done, the confidence of this man, surrounded by a great team, this is all going to blow back and help us in our endeavours and across the rest of Europe too. And I really believe that, like you, British taxpayers have had enough of sending £100,000 to Bangladesh to study shrimp behaviour. But we've had enough of free speech being cracked down upon. We've had enough of two-tier policing, two-tier justice, different groups of people being treated differently by the law. We've had enough of being told, you can't say that. The hell with it. Within the limits of what free speech gives us, we should be allowed to say whatever the hell we want. And we will. And we will. We will deport those who come into Britain by dinghy illegally. We will make sure that those to come to Britain legally subscribe to our shared values. In fact, in many ways, what we're fighting for is a very similar agenda to the one that you've just fought for and the one that you have just succeeded with. I want to finish by saying, as a regular at CPAC and as somebody who has publicly supported President Trump and been a friend of his for a decade, this is a remarkable CPAC coming together. This is something to celebrate in style, to be proud of. You're going to make America great again, and we in turn will make Britain great again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
In his speech, Nigel Farage takes a strong and unapologetic stance on the state of British politics, particularly criticizing what he perceives as a failure in addressing key social issues by the current government. His remarks on two-tier policing and two-tier justice express a deep frustration with the UK's political and legal systems, which he argues have become increasingly disconnected from the everyday realities of ordinary citizens. The term two-tier highlights the growing belief that different groups within society are treated unequally under the law, with certain individuals or groups receiving preferential treatment, while others face neglect or harsher treatment. Farage's use of this term resonates with many who feel that both the political and judicial systems have become out of touch and no longer serve the interests of the people they were designed to protect. Farage's criticism is not just aimed at the system, but also directly challenges the leadership of Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party. By focusing on two-tier justice, Farage is indirectly accusing Starmer's government of incompetence and failure to hold the system accountable. His comments suggest that the Labour Party, under Starmer's leadership, has either been complicit in or unable to address this inequality. Farage further implies that the government is more focused on controlling speech and pandering to select interest groups than on confronting the real issues facing the nation, such as immigration and national identity. By invoking the crackdown on free speech, Farage amplifies his argument, implying that the government is overstepping its bounds in silencing dissent and limiting open debate about crucial societal challenges. Central to Farage's rhetoric is his call for the restoration of free speech, the deportation of illegal immigrants, and ensuring that those who come to the UK adopt shared values. This illustrates his belief that Britain's national identity is under threat due to the erosion caused by left-wing policies and ineffective governance. His arguments paint a picture of a country losing its direction under weak leadership, where the government is failing to prioritize the concerns of the people. Farage believes that a return to traditional values and the enforcement of stronger immigration policies are vital to preserving British identity and national pride. In contrast to Starmer's approach, Farage envisions a Britain where the government acts decisively to protect national interests, uphold the rule of law, and ensure that the nation's sovereignty and identity are defended. His tone suggests that, under the current political climate, the UK is on the verge of losing control over its future, with leaders like Starmer failing to address the issues that matter most to the public. Farage's argument for a Trump revolution in Britain, a vision of populist, nationalist governance, positions him as an alternative to the political establishment, offering a vision of leadership based on strength, pride, and a return to core national values. His fiery rhetoric and criticism of the two-tier systems in place serve as a direct challenge to Starmer's leadership, positioning Farage as a force determined to disrupt the status quo and push for a more radical transformation of British politics, one that aligns with his populist vision.
Got to look about at the motivation behind changing your CV. I mean, you're inflating who you are. I mean, are you embarrassed about your achievements? Are you just trying to pass off as something better than you are? Were you trying to hoodwink your constituents to make them think you're something that you're not? So there's a lot sort of going into this. But I think the couple of key things is this calibre of the cabinet isn't what Keir Starmer and the Labour Party would like us to believe it is. It's a lower calibre, isn't it? It also shows now you can't believe a word they say. Keir Starmer had said they would be whiter than white, they would be coming in and raising the standards. Well, apparently not. And Keir Starmer, as he never lets us forget, a former DPP, he should be taking this really seriously, that, you know, a minister of his is pretending, passing himself off as something else, and as I said, breaking the Solicitors Act 1974. So really, he should be fired.
Yeah, he should. But of course, if it was an isolated incident, you might even be forgiven for being generous and saying, well, you know, people make mistakes. But this was on his record, if you like, for nigh on 14 or 15 years. He even declared it to Parliament that he'd worked as a solicitor. We've even got him tweeting about it in 2011. We've even got him in an interview saying, you know, I decided it was a much better job for me, for my family life, to be an MP rather than a solicitor. I mean, I would say this casts massive doubt on the fact that he's maybe another congenital liar that just can't tell the truth, can't lie straight in bed.
Well, you know, the story seems to be growing.
A fresh political row has erupted after Esther McVey, the former Minister for Common Sense, called for Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds to be sacked over misleading claims about his professional background. McVey's comments came in response to revelations that Reynolds described himself as a solicitor, despite never having qualified in the profession. McVey did not mince her words, demanding swift action against Reynolds, whose credibility now hangs in the balance. Speaking on Talk TV, McVey lambasted the business secretary, insisting that Prime Minister Keir Starmer should dismiss him immediately. Her sentiments were echoed by broadcaster Mike Graham, who labeled Reynolds another congenital liar that can't tell the truth. The controversy stems from Reynolds' past claims to be a solicitor, despite having never completed the necessary qualifications to practice law. While he studied law at university and even undertook the legal practice course LC, he did not officially qualify as a solicitor. Critics argue that his misleading description of his credentials amounts to an attempt to bolster his professional standing unjustly. Reynolds, who was appointed business secretary by Keir Starmer in November 2023, has remained defiant amid the growing backlash, His allies insist that his academic background in law and experience in legal adjacent roles meant the claim was made in good faith rather than with any intention to deceive. However, McVeigh and others see the matter as symptomatic of a wider culture of dishonesty in politics, the demand for Reynolds sacking adds to the mounting pressure on the Labour leadership as they prepare for the next general election. With Stormer positioning himself as a leader of integrity and transparency, critics argue that failing to take decisive action against Reynolds would undermine that message. Labour has yet to issue an official response, but the row is unlikely to die down quickly. In an era where public trust in politicians is already fragile, this latest scandal risks further fueling disillusionment with Westminster's political class.